having a happy hour on Tuesday, or come in for a free quote on your insurance. This is a great feature, especially if you've got seasonal things you want to announce. And then there is a B2B function on Yelp that I want to point out, and that is the recommendation of like-minded businesses. So this is good for multi-location setups. So if you've got a 2-location business, you can link to your other location's Yelp page. Or if you're a painter and you work with an electrician often on jobs, you guys can link to each other's Yelp page within the recommend like-minded businesses. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, describe your business. This is very, very important. You have 1,000 characters to talk about your specialties, 1,000 characters to talk about your history, and 1,000 characters to tell a bio about yourself. The reason this is important is because it helps you become more discoverable, not only on Yelp when people are doing a search for, the earlier example I said, Italian food near San Francisco, but also when people are doing searches on Google and Bing and other major search engines. Because Yelp is, in some ways like Yelp is to Google what a small business is to Yelp. Yelp is very search engine optimized. Google ranks us very highly, or the major search engines rank us very highly. And so all of this content that you put in here also gets scraped by the major search engines. So if you've got this content here, it makes you more discoverable, basically on the internet as a whole.
You tell us what to do when we get there. If somebody wants to set up a system, they're brand new and don't know a thing about them, what do they do?
Sure. So you'll go to biz.yelp.com, and this is also on the sheet here.
Oh, okay.
Or you can go to your business page, do a search for your business. Often we'll actually have your business on there. You won't know it. You won't have any reviews, but you get that data from the same companies that the phone books buy the data from. And so we'll pre-populate that with just address and phone number information. You do a search for yourself on biz.yelp.com. Claim the business page. You go through a short phone authentication process, so we'll call you just to make sure it's a sort of phone robot, and you enter a code into the phone that's on the screen. That ensures your competitors can't claim your page. And once you do that, you have access to a graph that tells you how many people have visited your business page, and then all these tools that you're seeing here, the ability to post special offers, describe your business. This is a screenshot of what the graph looks like. And really the takeaway here, this is just a case study that I use sometimes, is when you build out a rich business profile, when you sort of have everything firing on all cylinders, when you filled out these fields, you have set the characters, you have a compelling special offer that you're updating on average once a month, you've taken half an hour to write out your specialties history and bio. Again, this is a one-time thing that you just fill that out once. And if you have a website, you just copy and paste this content from your website. But keeping the special offer fresh is always a good idea. But once you do that, your organic traffic, the number of eyeballs that land on your business page, increases over time. So this is just a difference in May. April, this restaurant in Austin got 47. In April, the subsequent year, got 176. So pretty much quadrupled the traffic just by building out the business page and making themselves more discoverable using what are free tools. So. How many of you have a smartphone, either a BlackBerry or iPhone or Android device? We're seeing this become a really important part of Yelp's growth. We released a stat, I guess, earlier this week that 35% of searches on Yelp are now done from mobile devices. So typically, most of that's from the iPhone application, where it's one of the top apps in the store. Steve Jobs even said, when people want to, he was really using us to make a little punch at Google, but he said when people want to find a place to go to dinner, they're not searching, they're going to Yelp. So I encourage you, if you haven't downloaded the Yelp application on your BlackBerry or your iPhone or Android, I know I'm biased, but it actually is a lifesaver if you're out kind of running around. It really is quite helpful.
Cool, touch on that. When I originally downloaded it, it was probably, a year ago. It wouldn't let me actually make a review on the phone.
Right.
It said I had to do it from my laptop.
Yes, so we actually don't, you can do quick tips, so like little one-liner, kind of tweet-sized tips about businesses, but because we're sort of, obsessed with the quality of content on the site, we actually don't have a review writing feature on the iPhone. And I'm sort of thankful for that personally, because I hate typing on the iPhone. I used to be a BlackBerry user, and I miss that physical keyboard so much. But the fact is, you know, just think about our own behavior. When you're writing an email on your phone, you're not writing, you know, this is a great segue to a General Clark story that my old boss, you know, my role with him was editing his autobiography. And he used to, he wrote his autobiography on the BlackBerry. My job was to take, he would be on flights between, you know, Little Rock and New York. And he'd be on this 2-hour direct flight, and he'd sit there and write you know, chapters 2 and 3 on his BlackBerry. And my job was to take what I would say is the raw data, take that into Microsoft Word and kind of break it down and then get it to the publishing company. Most of us aren't like General Clark. I can't stand writing kind of long form on the smartphone. And so what we see happens is basically there's an erosion in the quality of content. People will say, you know, LOL, fries are awesome, you know, this place sucks, SUX, you know. And so usually when we're sitting on the computer, we're thinking about it. So what you can do is when you check into a business, when people are on their phones, they'll check into a business, we'll actually send them a reminder when they're logged into the site on their desktop. We'll say, hey, you haven't written a review for this place. And the other sort of update on that is I believe we allow review writing on the iPad, which we also released that app, I guess, like last month. So we're migrating, I think made a little bit of a compromise with the iPad, but that's why we don't do that, is because there's some quality issues when people are allowed to contribute on mobile. And we get panned for that. If you look at our ratings of the actual app itself, like, where's the review writing feature? I can't find it. It sucks.
So, 5 stars for everything?
So this is an example. You know, people ask, how does Yelp make money? So we do 2 things. It's a page enhancement, so it's like a slideshow or video on your actual business page. There's competitor ads on Google, and then the main thing is, though, it's kind of sponsored search. So just as Google has kind of this AdWords model, when I'm doing a search for umbrella on Google, the first organic search link is like a Wikipedia article for what an umbrella is. And then above that, there's usually kind of some highlighted link for some online retailer that sells umbrellas. And they're paying, you know, some amount of money to, every time I click or every time I see that ad. And so we have a similar model. It's, you know, here's a search for dentist in Los Angeles. The white organic search results are here. And then you have sort of this highlighted link that's marked as a sponsored result. And so that's how we make money, is sponsored search. So
What are the costs on that?
it really varies depending on the category, but we have cost per click and as well as monthly campaigns. It can honestly range anywhere as low as $3 a day up to, you know, $30 a day, depending on sort of how aggressive you are, what kind of business you're in. So if you do a cost per click campaign, for example, the clicks typically average somewhere between $1 to $3. And so if you say, okay, Yelp, I want just 1 click today, or I want 10 clicks today, you sort of define that. We also have monthly campaigns, and those range anywhere between sort of $300 a month to $1,000 a month, again, depending on how many times you want to appear above the search results. There's other stuff that's a pretty slimmed down version of what it is, but if anybody's interested, I'm not here to sell ads. If anybody's interested, I can connect you to somebody who does that. But anyway, the summary here is that, you know, the most successful businesses on Yelp just focus on great customer service. That's really 95% of it. But it doesn't hurt to engage and get involved with your customers on the site. Don't over-focus or freak out about any single review, because consumers are sizing up that review and that reviewer as much as they're sizing up your business. And use Yelp's free tools today. biz.yelp.com is the main site there. You can, if you don't find your business page, if it's not already loaded in with the data that we have sort of preloaded, you can create the business page and build out a rich profile, even if you have no reviews. That's almost even better, because when consumers are doing the searches, they'll land on your business page and there's something there. It shows that kind of the lights are on. So that's all I have. I can open up for questions now.
So to set up a page, you just go to biz.yelp.com.
Correct.
And I'll take you to it. Now, what if you've got like 40 or 50 people that say, I want you to be a Yelp? So you go back to them, and you connect with all of their friends and so on, and you all these people, how do you
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? So, I'm not sure I understand.
I'm going through this cycle of, you know, I want you to be my Yelp partner, whatever they call it. and they, you know, you can say, okay, fine, and so now that you get a confirmation, you're now partners, you know, you're now connected with that business.
Okay.
And then they have their connections on, you click on them and connect with them. And then so now you got this big book of people that you're connected with.
So I think.
How do you find out how many you have?
So this is actually a good question, because I think what you're referring to is some of the sort of social networking aspects of the site. So Yelp, much like Facebook, you can add friends, you can connect with other people on the site. Typically, that's more reserved for the consumer accounts. So when you create an account on Yelp, a lot of times business owners will create consumer accounts and think that they have accounts on Yelp, and they do, but they're consumer accounts, and they're not really designed for taking full advantage of the business tools. For example, if you're using a consumer account to kind of deal with your Yelp presence, you can't see how many people are looking at your business page every month. You can't post offers on your business page. You can respond to reviews, but it kind of looks a little bit weird because you're sending a private message using the user account. So it's okay to have a user account, but you want a business owner account. And on a business owner account, those social functions of adding friends and all those things do not exist. The people that you have the ability to communicate with are those who have written reviews. And so if somebody writes a review about you, then you have the right to respond. But you can't just like send a message from your business owner account to a user if there hasn't been sort of a previous initiation of contact by that other user. Now on the user account, to the question, how do you know? It's up at the top of the page, or you can click on your friends and see a whole index of how many friends you have if you're on your user account.
Do you ever block people, especially like slightly crazy, you know, where they're constantly just bad-mouthing everybody? Do you ever block people?
Sometimes. I mean, when I say that people are sizing up other consumers as much as they're sizing up other businesses, I mean that because Yelp's built in a very transparent way. If you click on a user account, all these graphs, these interactive graphs appear on the left that show how many negative reviews they've written and all this. And so I know that it's rare that we'll like ban somebody. I mean, not super rare. It's like if they violate our terms of service, you know, once or more, then we typically will ban them. Sometimes ban their IP addresses. But one of the factors that we're looking at, I think, in making that decision, and I'm not part of that team, but I suspect it helps a business owner's case if 99% of one's reviews are negative. I think that's not really what Yelp is about. It's not about just sharing negative experiences. So.
What, I don't know. Sorry. And what do you do to keep, we actually have a customer that's paid by businesses to write Yelp. But, yeah. I went, you do what? He goes, no, I write reviews for businesses for Yelp. And I'm like, well, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And he goes, they're not supposed to do that. Yeah.
Well, so there's, you know, if
I'm not going to rat about it.
There are people that this is another. Yelp has become big enough where you actually have people offering their services to write basically fake reviews and create these sock puppet accounts. By and large, it doesn't work because there's a couple of reasons it doesn't work. The filter takes care of about 99% of them. It really does a good job at. I mean, if it's knocking out legit reviews, it's definitely, you know, causing, for every legit review it's knocking out, it's probably, you know, making 100 other guys really frustrated because they haven't been able to kind of like breach the wall and create super spam and mislead consumers. But so that's in place, and then also the community is very self-policing. So if there's somebody that's just writing a bunch of reviews within, you know, a very short span, and it just looks suspicious and looks very advertorial, then I think that gets picked up, and then we can kind of dive in and look at the IP addresses, look at the login patterns, and make determinations. And I know that we crack down pretty often on stuff like that. And but for the most part, the spam filter takes care of the majority of it.
I did have one question about, you said with the business page, if someone writes a review and they're not established, define established for me. Established with the business or established on Yelp? What is that?
Established on Yelp. Is what-
So
is what
meaning
that
if I
means.
haven't written